it'll highlight it in red for you. And you can see little timing. When your timing is off, it shows you that in yellow. And in the lower left corner, it keeps a running score of how you're doing against the entire project. All right? Okay, so I think you get the idea. We'll stop it there. And the great thing is that, thanks, Gerhard. Great job. Now, the cool thing is that this timeline shows you exactly how you did. So you can see at a glance that, okay, that's where I rocked it. You know, we played that okay. And then over here, we can click to review the mistakes. You know, Gerhard doesn't make a lot of mistakes in his life, so I apologize to you to making him have to relive this painful memory. But, okay, so there's that note. Okay, even better, every time you complete a performance, GarageBand is keeping track of that and building a history. So we can now click on history and see all the times you've been working on this song. Of course, when you start out, you'll probably have, some troubles with different sections, and hopefully over time you'll be getting better until one day you'll be able to play a perfect 100%. So that's the new How Did I Play feature in GarageBand 11. It works with piano, but it also works great with guitar, and we think musicians are just going to have so much fun with this new release. So thanks a lot, Steve. Back to you.
Thanks, guys. Isn't that great? So, GarageBand 11 with some great new features in it. You know, we have over 5 million people using GarageBand now. Isn't that incredible? 5 million people using this technology to make music, to learn how to play instruments. It's wonderful. So, iLife 11. iLife 11, all this amazing engineering that's gone into these products, the ability to do all these things is free with every new Mac. It comes included with every new Mac for free. And if you want to upgrade your existing Mac, it's just $49. This has got to be some of the highest value software in the world. And iLife 11 is available today. So you can get it today. We're really proud of this product, iLife 11. In addition to thanking all of the engineering geniuses working on this stuff, Gerhard, Randy, and others, Greg Gilly, where's Greg? Stand up, Greg. Greg is the engineering manager for iLife and has done a phenomenal job. Thanks to Greg and everybody on his team. We've got some brilliant people working on this stuff, and they're constantly amazing us with this. So that's iLife. Next up, I'd like to talk about FaceTime. FaceTime's pretty remarkable. It's really the first video calling on mobile devices. We introduced it in June on the iPhone 4. In September, we brought it to the new iPod Touch with its front-facing camera. And since then, in the last 4 months, we've shipped 19 million FaceTime or devices with FaceTime on them. 19 million. Well, what could be better than that? The number one request we've gotten is, could we please be able to do FaceTime calling between these devices and the Mac? So today, we're announcing that we're going to add tens of millions of Mac owners to that as well, with FaceTime for the Mac. Here it is, and you've got your contact list, which just takes your contacts from your address book. You don't have to populate a special buddy list or anything else. You can have favorites and, of course, your recents. You just pick somebody, click on them, and you initiate a FaceTime call, whether it's with another Mac, an iPod Touch, or an iPhone 4. And it even does full screen. So we're really excited by this, and rather than just talk about it some more, let me give you a demo. So on my Mac here, we've got our new FaceTime logo right here. And I just double-click on it. And what I'm going to do now is just go to Favorites. And here's Phil Schiller. And I'm just going to go ahead and initiate a call with Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Steve.
Hey. Hey, what device are you on? Are you on a Mac or one of our phones? Or
I'm on an iPhone 4. I always have it with me.
Yeah. That's great. Well, listen, why don't you go ahead and turn your phone into landscape mode?
Okay.
So obviously, I don't want to turn my whole display, so FaceTime on Mac just turns the display to match the phone. Want to turn it back? So again, this is so simple. There's nothing to set up. There's nothing to configure. That, it's a very simple demo.
Yeah.
So now, the tens of millions of Mac users are going to be able to FaceTime with iPhone 4s and iPod Touches. And I think people are going to like this based on the requests we've gotten. Hey, thanks a million, Phil.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that is FaceTime for the Mac. Now, maybe the best news is that we're going to release a beta release of FaceTime for Mac today. So you'll be able to go to apple.com and get a beta release of this today, run it on your Mac, and start FaceTime calling with over 19 million users on their iPhone 4s and their iPod Touches. And there's the new logo right there. So we're excited about that. Now, next up, the entree for today. We want to give you a sneak peek at where we're going with Mac OS X. And, as you know, we've had 7 major releases of Mac OS X in the last decade. I don't think anyone can match that track record. And we've been improving it with every major release, and we're really happy with Snow Leopard. But we know how to take it even further. And so today, we are going to give you a preview of the 8th major version of Mac OS X, and we call it Lion. Mac OS X Lion. Now, what is the big idea? What is the philosophy behind Mac OS X Lion? Well, that's where Back to the Mac comes from. What we've done is we've started with Mac OS X, and we created from it a version called iOS, which we used in the iPhone. And we invented some new things, and we've perfected it over the last several years, and it's now used in the iPad as well. Well, what we like to do is we're inspired by some of those innovations in the iPad and the iPhone. We'd like to bring them back to the Mac. And so that's what Lion's about. Mac OS X meets the iPad. There's a lot of innovation in Mac OS X, user features and a lot underneath the hood. But at a high level, these are going to be some of the most exciting things. And we haven't got time to show you everything today, but we wanted to give you a taste of the philosophy behind it and show you a few of the key features that we're working on. So what exactly is it that we have learned and become inspired by on the iPad? Well, multi-touch gestures. Multi-touch gestures can be really important, and we think they can be really important on the Mac too. The App Store has completely revolutionized how people get their apps on the iPhone and the iPad. Why not the Mac too? And when people get their apps on the iPad, they have a great place to put them. They have these home screens that have all their apps on them. They don't have to go hunting around for their apps. Full screen apps. Every app on the iPhone and the iPad is a full screen app. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that's great on the Mac too. We've seen that from the work that we've done as an example in iPhoto, which we've expanded on in iLife 11. Full screen apps can be really great sometimes. Apps on the iPad auto-save. You don't have to bother saving your data. It's constantly saved for you. It's one less thing to worry about. And when you launch apps, they auto-resume. They come up exactly where you left them. That'd be great on the Mac, too. And there's a lot more, but these are some of the highlights of how we've been inspired by the work that we've done in iOS, and we'd like to bring it back to the Mac. So let me talk for a few minutes about a few of these. Multi-touch gestures. You know, the first thing you think about is this, right? We thought about this years ago. We've done tons of user testing on this, and it turns out it doesn't work. Touch surfaces don't want to be vertical. It gives great demo. But after a short period of time, you start to fatigue, and after an extended period of time, your arm wants to fall off. It doesn't work. It's ergonomically terrible. Touch surfaces want to be horizontal, hence pads. For a notebook, that's why we've perfected our multi-touch trackpads over the years, because that's the best way we've found to get multi-touch into a notebook. We've also, in essence, put a trackpad, a multi-touch trackpad, on the mouse with our Magic Mouse, and we've recently come out with a PurePlay trackpad as well for our desktop users. So this is how we're going to use multi-touch on our Mac products, because this doesn't work. The App Store. The App Store has been huge, as you know. On the iPhone, it's completely revolutionized mobile applications. On the iPad, it's phenomenal as well. Now, how do we know this? Because over 7 billion apps have been downloaded from the App Store. 7 billion. There's never been anything like this that we've seen in our careers. And so we'd like to bring it to the Mac. And as part of Lion, we're going to have a Mac App Store. What are going to be the characteristics of this store? Well, it's going to be the best place to discover apps, just like it is on the iPhone and the iPad. Won't be the only place, but we think it'll be the best place. One-click downloads, free and paid apps, and it's the same deal for the developers. They keep 70%